But tonight, folks, we feature Elon Werner. Elon of Werner Communications and the creator of Drag Racing Bracket Bonanza, had the kind of the drag racing spin on a March Madness style bracket competition where fans try to predict race winners, upsets, and bracket busters. So Elon's going to join us to talk about turning drag racing into an interactive fan experience, the growth of sportsman racing, and how fan engagement is changing rather motorsports. So Elon Werner, welcome to the show.
Well, Bill, thanks for having me on. It's you touched on, you nailed exactly what I'm trying to do with Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, is making drag racing more interactive. I've worked in the sport for 30 years, but just there's always this deal of my neighbors just really didn't care. I mean, when I worked for John Force Racing, they kind of cared. When I worked with Coletta, but they just didn't really get it. And I just had thought about doing Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. So in 2023, I just kind of hired an IT guy, Aiden Lampkin from Lampkin Software Solutions out of Colorado, and we just started building it. And it's really taken off. We do it for every national event. You can sign up at dragracebracketbonanza.com for free. You can sign up anytime, but the brackets, run Saturday afternoon until Sunday morning or Sunday until Monday for the U.S. Nationals.
That's really great. So, I mean, we were chatting a little bit before the show, and I have to tell you that every time I try to explain to a layperson about drag racing, I'm like, dude, it's like Sweet 16 and March Madness every single Saturday. We qualify, we run it, and now they're, oh, that's pretty cool. So they're really, in our world, right, it's so locked in for 30, 40, 50 years, but, you have to introduce new folks to it.
Yeah, and so we actually designed it so we have the driver's pictures. We have some stats about them, so if they're a Chevy guy or a Mopar guy or where they're from, because we want. Like we have a family group and we do all the little fantasy games, football, basketball, March. I actually lost the NFL playoff game we did one year. It was when the Cincinnati Bengals were so hot, because I lost to one of the daughters of my friends because she just thought Joe Burrow was cute and just kept picking Joe Burrow, and the Bengals went all the way to the Super Bowl. And so I want people to be able to see the racers and go, I think Angie Smith's a good looking lady, or I like Richard Gadsden, or, Cruz Pedregon's my guy. And so they don't have to know anything, and they can just pick, if they just want to pick women beating men or vice versa or whatever. So the whole idea is to just, and since we started, like now we were talking that, my neighbors really didn't care, but my neighbors were kind of part of our beta test group, and they kind of got involved, and they now kind of play on a regular basis. So now when we get together at barbecues, they're asking me about Richard Gadsden. They're asking me about Aaron Stanfield. They're like, hey, they know about the KB Titan Elite situation. Like, hey, man, when is the league going to get it back together? Because, I like Erica Enders, and I'm thinking about maybe, starting to pick her. And, they're both impressed and devastated by the success of Chad Green, because Chad Green is just, won 2 races this year, and guy's just a great racer. I knew about Chad Green, but my neighbors were like, they kind of get locked into Caps and J.R. Todd and Beckman and all, so when these guys kind of pop up, they're like, okay, how come you didn't tell me Dave Richards got a new crew chief and he's doing so much better now? And I was like, hey man, but it is, the other thing I did intentionally was make it for all 4 classes, because there's groups of people that just like Pro Stock or Pro Stock Motorcycle, and they don't care about Nitro, and vice versa. But you at least, a lot of people will do we have the randomizer button. So if you don't have any time, you can just do the randomizer button. They'll do the randomizer button, and then they'll go back and edit the Top Fuel or Funny Car brackets, the things they know about, and they'll just let the randomizer roll for a Pro Stock or Pro Stock Motorcycle. And I do know the randomizer does work, because we had a guy win Top Fuel in Seattle when Steve Torrance won a couple years ago. When we sent him the email asking, hey, we're going to send you your autographed plaque, he's like, man, I can't believe I won. He goes, he's running behind time. He goes, I just used the randomizer. And it worked out. So it's just been really fun to see it grow. People stop me in the pits and ask me about it. And that's always, as a PR guy who's used to being in the background, that is just kind of surprising a little bit, but it's cool. We have people playing all over the world. I actually mailed prizes today. We mailed 2 prizes to Canada. The last couple races I've mailed a prize to Australia. Mailed a prize to New Zealand. There truly are people playing Bracket Bonanza all around the world.
That's amazing. Yeah, New Zealand's and Australians and Europeans,
Yeah.
they love their drag racing. It's so cool. I mean, a couple of things come to mind I have to share. Like I used to run the football pool for my company like 30 years ago, probably
Right.
thereabouts, maybe even 40, which is sad to say. But invariably one week a person, I will just say a person who might pick by the color of uniforms would win the thing, once or
Yeah.
twice a year, So
Yeah.
and the other thing is about knowing these guys, especially me. Like I got 130,000 people written down in a database here, but I forget, right? And even in the modern kids that come along, the pro stock racers especially.
Yeah.
I'm an old Landy and Sox and Grumpy and guy, right? Dino. And I've learned over the years, but it's hard, man. There's a bunch of new names. They all
Yep.
run really kind of similar cars, and you don't
Yeah.
have a lot of time to get really deep into it. What I had a game I wrote back in the DOS years where you could actually run yourself against a drag racer, like the real guys.
Oh, yeah.
And what I would do every like season is like fake run myself against so I could learn what they did, so I would kind of get them into my head. And seems like what you're doing is very similar, right? In terms of getting it fresh in your mind who these people are.
Yeah. And it's funny how you kind of throw something out in the universe and then people take it and run with it. And you don't like people, we have the ability for people to start leagues. Again, it's totally free. So you can invite people to be in your league, whether it's, your family league or your neighbors. But like there's the beer guy who's kind of an influencer in the NHRA,
Hmm.
popped on the scene about a year ago. He does his own league and he puts the names of the people in his league on his car. And then he does his own bracket, like in the countdown, and like basically does his own elimination deal. We
Huh.
have people that have their leagues, they're doing their own prizes.
Wow.
And that it to me is like it didn't even, it never occurred to me that it would take on this life of its own of, we do for every race, there's an overall winner, top fuel, funny car, pro stock, pro stock. So basically, if all four categories, there's five prizes, and they're nice plaques that Summit helps us make, and we get the race winners to sign them. And the drivers, I have to thank them so much. They've been so cool because they'll personalize them. They'll write, win number, 140, or when Tony Stewart run Vegas for his first top fuel win, he signed it. Tony Stewart first top fuel win.
Wow.
I mean, and then the lady that won it was actually a huge Tony Stewart fan and did a whole unpacking video and was like over the moon. So it's really kind of cool pieces of sports memorabilia that you get for playing a free game. So uh, we have drivers that, fans come up to them and they talk to them at the races. They engage with them on social media about, you mentioned earlier bracket busters. Um, we go and talk to guys that are like the biggest upset winners, and it's very funny to kind of get their take on it because every racer wants to be. They go into it thinking they're going to win the race,
Hmm.
and when people are like, "Oh yeah, only 3% of the people thought you would win that round," and they kind of like, "Well, don't make that mistake again."
I love it. It's my mind is kind of swimming because it's just so cool to hear. I mean, maybe we'll get a dragless league going. I don't know. Somebody's going to have
Yeah,
to. I stay too focused on what we're doing, but
right,
this is
sure,
really an exciting opportunity to
but
maybe
yeah,
partner up.
but I was gonna, we have fans that we're constantly looking for feedback. But we have fans that keep the qualifying ETs in a spreadsheet. So when they're making their picks, they can look at, okay, well, yeah, this guy may have been the number 3 qualifier, but he only made one really good run.
Right.
The guy that's the number 7 qualifier, he made 4 in there. Like they are into it.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of fan I want. But we're taking that, we're constantly people like, hey, it would be cool if you could show, the ETs in qualifying. So we're constantly evolving it. So we'll have a new look for 2027. And that's kind of one of the things we're trying to um, figure out how to make it just easier for the user. You don't want to but also kind of make it for the hardcore guy.
Right.
If you want the stats, you can find them. But if you just want to make picks, you want to make that as easy as possible. So
So
we're
great.
constantly updating. We have almost every other week calls with the IT people, and we're going over emails. And as we're growing, you have the natural growing pains of you know now there's thousands and thousands of people playing every weekend. But we still try to respond to every email as quick as we can, and social media stuff. And people have questions about,
Right.
the brackets didn't copy or they didn't get submitted. And, sometimes it's user error. If it's on our end, we try to fix it as best we can. Um, but that's the other thing that is becoming a challenge for me is you're so hands on that it's growing to the point that you can't quite be, you know, in direct communication with everybody that's playing,
Sure.
you know, so which is
I
an interesting
it's quite,
dichotomy to be in. So,
quite a scaling challenge for sure.
yeah. So,
So amazing. Well, I'm definitely going to go look it up as soon as we get off the air, and I will, we'll have another opportunity at the end. We'll make sure that folks know
sure.
exactly where to find it. But so far, what's been the coolest or most surprising moment of watching fans react to the Bracket Bonanza concept?
I would say I had a guy stop me. It was in Vegas, and he is a production guy on the Fox crew. And he stopped me in a little convenience store right by the racetrack. And was like, hey, he goes, I want to just tell you how cool Bracket Bonanza is. He goes, I play with my dad, and we talk every Saturday night now just about Bracket Bonanza. And he goes, it's really, helped me stay in touch with my dad. And I was like, that's the stuff that, there's a woman named Monica, her son is named AJ. She and AJ fill out their brackets on Sunday morning. That's their thing. And I'll be honest, also when we find out people are like when I'm sending prizes to New Zealand,
Hmm.
or us like that, holy cow, like because I was Facebook messaging with the guy that won in New Zealand, and I was like, how long have you been playing? How did you hear about it? And he's a huge NHRA fan, which is really hard for me to wrap my head around with New Zealand being like 17 or 18 hours ahead of us.
Hmm.
Like drag racing for him is like Monday Night Football for us
Hmm. Hmm.
because it's on Monday afternoons or whatever. So just trying to wrap my head around that a little bit, that people are, that are playing, and that they get excited. And, and it is, you kind of get known in the pits, and to get known for something like that is just really um, pretty cool. And having the drivers embrace it as well as they have has really been, because they get it. They're like, hey, you're really doing something to help kind of make the tent bigger.
Right.
So they're willing to give a little bit of their time to kind of help promote it and things like that. So that would say the fact that there really are people playing around the world surprises me. And then just how some of the personal connections people have made because of the game. Because I really, when we first started getting up and running, I showed it to Bob Tasca's PR guy,
Hmm.
and he goes, you got to go show it to his kids, because his kids were basically doing Bracket Bonanza on paper every race. And they were blown away. And they were some of our early on beta testers. And they get, but oh yeah. And ironically, all his sons independently have won a plaque.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
So
and it's been for crazy stuff, like not even funny car, like pro stock motorcycle, pro stock car. And I think one of them did win an overall plaque. But yeah, but that's the other thing is kids want to do things on their phone. They need the online stuff, and that
right.
I help keep some younger people engaged in the sport.
That's right. Let's let them doom scroll some drag racing, baby. That's what we're
Right,
going to.
exactly. Go from Bracket Bonanza to Fox highlights to Sean Langdon's social media. Doom scroll the greatest pro stock runs in history. Don't doom scroll Kim Kardashian or some knucklehead like that.
Absolutely. Well, speaking about breaking brackets,
Yeah.
eventually everybody gets blown apart by unexpected results. I don't know how many big upsets you've had this year, but what has been the biggest bracket buster moment you've seen so far in drag racing competition?
I would say Kenny Delco a couple races ago, um, beating Matt Hartford. That
Yeah.
was like a 1% people had picked him. Um, there was a time Ron August Jr. against Doug Coletta in Seattle a few years ago was like, I think we had close to a couple thousand people filling out brackets at that time, and maybe like 7 or 8, like truly, like Ron August Jr.'s crew had picked him, but like no, everyone else was like the number 1 versus 16, that it
Right.
was a landslide.
Right.
But that's, but again, it's kind of one of those deals of that's why you run the races.
Yeah.
Um, and we'll have like when everyone fills out their brackets and then we lock them. Literally, we wait until the last moment. Like I wait until the first pair of top fuel dragsters does their burnouts, and then they back up, and then as they're rolling forward, I can lock the bracket.
Wow.
Because we had one instance where this was last year. First pair of top fuel dragsters had done their burnouts, and they backed up, and like I locked it like right when they started doing their burnouts. They did their burnouts and backed up, and it started raining. And we'd locked the brackets. So had I waited, you could have kind of given a few more people the opportunity to fill out the brackets, because you're kind of racing time zones,
Right.
particularly we're on the East Coast. They moved the start time up to 10 a.m. on the East Coast.
Right.
It's 7 a.m. on the West Coast. So you really have to remind everybody, hey, if you're a West Coast guy, you either get up early or do it on Saturday night. So, waiting to give guys every opportunity to fill out their brackets. But yeah, the Ron August upset over Doug Coletta is probably the biggest one that, but like we run a report and we can see who people predict will win.
Mm-hmm.
And invariably you'll get a guy, win a Matt Hartford, not so much now, but like last year when Matt Hartford would come out to win, he was maybe only predicted by 3% of the players to win the race because everybody was just so heavy on Greg or Dallas or Erica.
Right.
Same deal with Chad Green. Like when Chad Green won the Gator Nationals, like only 2% of the people thought he would win the race.
Yeah, he's legit, and
but he's legit now. He is a legitimate championship threat, and he's a threat in Bracket Bonanza. So I don't ever like I do a bracket every race, and I am terrible because whatever I do the wrong thing. The races that I pick with my heart, terrible. The races where I'm like, okay, I'm really gonna like not just pick Ron Capps because I like him, or Josh Hart because I was working with them, or
right.
I'm gonna really pick. And then invariably, Dan Wilkerson will go on a big run, or Josh Hart, go what, and then I'm like, okay, I can't win for losing on this deal. I don't think I've ever finished in the top half. Like truly, like it's been real hit or miss of just like, just because but I play and I get a big kick out of it and I follow my bracket, but it usually by about the second round, it looks like a term paper I turned in my freshman year of college, just riddled with just red ink.
Right. And Danny went to the final this weekend, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, he's a big supporter. He cracks me up. He talks about Bracket Bonanza. He'll stop me and ask about it. And it's funny that we have, so Bracket Bonanza is totally free. Anyone, any age can play. And then NHRA has like the Play NHRA, which is their initiative with like FanDuel and DraftKings. And everyone that has a hard card or is a participant has to go through this online gambling seminar. And you have to basically sign an affidavit that says you will not gamble on drag racing.
Right.
Or you could lose your hard card. You could be suspended. All this. So we started up with this. I worked with NHRA to make sure we're kind of in our own lane. And so, but when it kind of got really public and started picking up some steam, I had crew guys, drivers like, is this legal for us to do? And I was like, it completely is.
Yeah.
Cleared with NHRA. I tripled. The last thing I would want to do is get somebody in trouble playing a silly free game.
Yeah.
Right. So Dan Wilkerson plays. I know there's a fair number of crew guys, and it's just really, it's and you're talking about surprises. It's sometimes funny if I pop into a hauler on a Sunday morning to just check on somebody or whatever, and I see crew guys, they warmed their car up. They had like the downtime before first round, and they're filling out brackets for Bracket Bonanza. Like every now and then, I'll just like, okay, this is a little crazy.
I love it. That's so great, Elon. Man, it's exciting. Let's
Yeah,
we'll go to John here in about 10 minutes, and he's tracking the chat out there, and we'll see if folks have any hellos
sure.
or questions. But let's talk about your racing journey. You spent years around racers, teams, NHRA competition. How did your path lead you into motorsports media,
Oh,
communications, and fan engagement?
it is. I went to a really small liberal arts school in Sherman, Texas called Austin College. 1,300 students. They kind of, I was playing basketball and I hurt my shoulder in a stupid uh, fraternity beach football incident. And I got a job. I couldn't play basketball anymore. I got a job working in the sports information office. Um, so I just kind of, that was a way for me to stay connected to the teams. And one thing led to another. I got an internship with the Dallas Mavericks in the early 90s. And, hey, kids, if you're watching this podcast, back in the olden times, there used to be these things called lead lunches where salespeople would all get together and talk about various sponsors and leads, and they would share information. Well, at one of these lunches in Dallas, a Maverick salesperson talked to a Texas Motorplex salesperson, and the Motorplex person just mentioned they were looking for a PR guy.
Mhm.
And Louise knew I was looking for a full-time job and came back and told me, and I was not a racer. Like I was a little bitty kid. I remember watching ABC Wild World of Sports. I had Hot Wheels, Snake, Mongoose, Connie Coletta. But that was like 8-year-old between the cliff diving in Puerto Rico, wherever they did
Right.
it, and Evil Knievel. Um,
Exactly right.
but I interviewed at the Motorplex with Billy Meyer, who I did not even know was a racer.
Wow.
And the Motorplex was the very first drag strip I ever saw in 1994. And Billy just basically was like, well, I've been hiring drag racing guys, trying to teach them PR. I'm going to hire a PR guy and teach him drag racing.
Okay.
And that's what happened. He basically got hired like in April of 94. He sent me to the Mile High Nationals and I met Dave Dinsmore and I was the Motorplex until 2000. Ultimately was the general manager for the last 2 years that I was there.
Wow.
And then kind of worked for some agencies. Then I got hired by John Force and worked on the team side for about 16 seasons. And now I have my own company. So just since 94, I've been entrenched in drag racing just kind of by happenstance. And it was great because in Dallas is such a football, baseball, basketball town. I didn't really know that much about drag racing, but I kind of knew the media from when I was with the Mavericks. So I was able to sell them on a sport that I also really didn't know that much about. I was like, man, I don't know that much about this, but I know they go like 300 miles per hour and they've got characters down there. Just come down and I guarantee you'll get a great story out of it. And of course, that was the heyday of John Force. You had
Right.
Bernstein. You had so many WJ and Pro Stock. So it was just an embarrassment of riches for stories. And the Motorplex was a really nice facility.
Right.
So it just kind of worked out. And I still work with the Motorplex. I've worked with, half a dozen teams and I do, one of our clients is the FlexJet Factory Stock Showdown series. So over the last 3 or 4 years, I've become entrenched in factory stock. And if you'd have told, 2008 Elon, who was entrenched in John Force racing and all I cared about was funny cars, that I would be able to tell you the difference between a Cobra Jet and a Copa Camaro and a drag pack and get excited about Mark Powick's new Dodge Charger that he's bringing out this year and how, that 2008 Elon would have said, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. But now you just kind of you get an appreciation for it. And, I've worked with a lot of the drivers. So that's really, just almost by luck. But I've loved it. My kids grew up around the sport. My daughter works for me full time now. which is unique in that I did not grow up around the sport. I mean, she has core memories of being in John Force's winter circle as a 10-year-old. Um, my son, I remember when he was like in elementary school, Mike Neff was a rookie and he was wearing a Mike Neff Rookie of the Year t-shirt, and he went to a kid's bowling party for his birthday, and he walked in and the kids were just like, they're wearing their Texas Rangers jerseys or whatever, and they're like, "Who's Mike Neff?" And my son was like defiantly like, "Well, what do you mean who's Mike Neff? He's the NHRA Rookie of the Year. How do you not know who he is?" And it was like a whole reversal moment of my kids grew up. Their favorite sport was drag racing. They like all the other sports because I like, but they were like hardcore into it. So it's been really cool being a part of it and just kind of just staying involved in, and creating a business around it.
It's really great. Well, tell us a couple of minutes about Werner Communications. I assume
Yeah,
that's the one we're talking about. And what is
yeah,
it? Is it full service PR or writing,
yeah.
or what do you guys
So
do?
it's full service PR. So we do press releases, we do media engagement, we pitch stories, we do on-site media management. We've morphed a little bit, just you want to be all things to all people. So now we do not do like sponsorship sales, but we will help when sponsors are at a race, making sure they get a tour of the Fox TV compound, or literally picking them up in a golf cart and bringing them in, all that customer service stuff that needs to happen.
Right.
But on the Werner Communications, we are truly at our core PR people for our clients. We are constantly, like right now, Spencer Hyde's one of our full-time guys. Buddy Hull is one of our clients, even though he's not racing right now. We're trying to keep them out in the media, finding creative ways to not just keep them in the motorsports media, but get them in other areas. And we've kind of become a little bit of a niche for the part-time drivers. Chris King, TJ Zizzo, Joe Morrison, these guys that don't come to a lot of races, but when they do come to a race, you want them to fit in. You want to make sure they get invited to the autograph sessions, that they get time on the NHRA stage, that the announcers know who they should be talking about on the PA, that Brian Loans and Tony Pedregon know if they have a sponsor at a race. We coordinate with the Fox guys so that when they're running, you get a camera on their sponsor and he or she can get on TV. Even if it's just a mention. So yeah, we do everything from long form press releases, pre-race, post-race, number one qualifiers. We also understand that everybody's short-staffed, whether it's your local newspaper or national dragster. So we try to shoot the gaps when we're not racing back to back and they have stories every day. Like we know, okay, we got an off week coming up. This is a prime opportunity to maybe roll out a Q&A, on the 3 races in a row. Maybe your driver hasn't won a race, but let's do a Q&A. Phil Burgess, Kevin McKenna are great. If it's good quality content, they will use it. Or West Bucket Drag Illustrated or Bobby Benedict Competition Plus. We try to get people booked on shows like yours. And that's just kind of what we're doing constantly is if we're not having our drivers doing something almost every week or getting ready, and then behind the scenes, we're working with our drivers, when they do a specialty car, making sure we're in alignment with this sponsor. Spencer Hyde's going to run a specialty car in Brainerd. Mm-hmm. So we're working with that sponsor to make sure we have all the right artwork. So when that's announced, we get the artwork out there and we get the release out there, and then we're coordinating with their PR people and making sure it's all kind of the trains are running on time, and we're working in lockstep on that.
And I love it. So you just signed yourself up for getting some of your guys on our show, though.
Oh, for sure.
Little do you know.
Sure.
Yeah, and, I love what you do.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. I truly treat it like as a healthy competitive endeavor. That I don't really truly keep a scorecard, but I keep a scorecard of like my guys are getting coverage. And I stack that up against, Buddy Hull got a lot of coverage last year. He only won a handful of rounds of racing, but he got as much coverage as guys that won races, right, as far as NHRA.com stories. But again, we got creative. We produced a TV show for him that was on the NHRA Fast Channel, which was just another, idea that I had of, hey, this is a guy that's trying to build his program with Jim Dunn Racing, and he's got aspirations. He's a great personality. I found out the NHRA has this fast digital channel, which is like on Roku and Tubi, and they kind of put the call out of, if you want to make a TV show and it's not garbage, we'll find a place for it. And we basically made a conversational show, Buddy, talking funny cars with Buddy Hall. Buddy was new to the category, and we just had him sitting down with Ron Capps and Cruz, and they just shot the breeze about how cool it is to be funny car drivers.
That's awesome.
And we did 2 full seasons of it. And the first season, for a 30-minute show, it had like over 100,000 hours viewed. And then the second year was, so it was a real thing, and it would repeat, and but you just have to be creative to keep your guys out there. And that's just one of the things we really kind of take as a hallmark of our program is we want to promote our drivers and let their personalities shine through.
I love it. Well, mission accomplished, sir, because, we're great friends. We love everybody. We know most everybody, but Nitro Joe Morrison, one of our great pals. And
yeah,
when you look at Joe in the press, he's right there. I mean, he's regarded by NHRA as a story, right? And Nitro Joe, and it's not like he's, he doesn't get a chance to run every event, right? And the car he runs is down on bucks compared to many, but he's considered one of the top, kind of personalities, and he's great himself, right? He knows his stuff himself. So that's hats off, because I'm starting to see the pieces come together here.
Yeah. And I have relationships with Joe Costello and Jason Galvin and Hannah Rickards and Tony and Brian, and I just I know my whole job goal is to make the media's job easier. From like when I first started working at the Mavericks as an intern, my boss set me down and it was like, my title is Director of Media Services.
Mm-hmm.
Service is half my title. We're in a service industry, and that just stuck with me. So there's no shame in my game. If there's a particular reporter and he's kind of finicky or she's kind of finicky, and they want to be picked up with their car and driven right to the pit, and they don't want to wait, and then they want to get their interview, and then they want to either go to the press or they just want to leave.
Mm-hmm.
I am A-okay with that to get a story.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other people that are just like, well, I don't want to, carve out the time, because if they want to do that, then I have to get to the track. Well, okay, that's fine. I will do it. And I'll do all the oddball stuff. And if I know, I have crazy notes on people, not like a sociopath, but if I know a guy's a Sprite guy, I'll make sure we have Sprites available. I know a guy, it's a Mountain Dew guy. So if I know if he's coming to a race, I always have some Mountain Dew available.
Fantastic.
So,
well, let's pivot away from our soft drinks, and that's a great idea. And I love everything you're saying. You're truly a servant leader. Let's go to John and the super crew out there. John, who's out there, and what do they have to say?
Oh, we got everybody here tonight from coast to coast, and first of all, Joe Morrison is with us, and he said, "Hey guys, I'm glad to see Elon here promoting the Drag Racing Bracket Bonanza." He said it's a fun game and a great way to engage with fans.
Yes, there you go. Joe, your $20 will be sent to you immediately tomorrow via Venmo. Good job.
Joe's ears must have been burning there a moment ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe is cool, man. We love him. We're glad that he's with us. And Rob McCabe, our statistician, is here with us tonight, and I'm sure he's paying very close attention to everything you're saying. And Mark Malinsky from New Jersey is with us. Randy Johnston in Northern California, he said good evening. And I had a couple of comments and one question for you, Elon.
Hit me.
I agree with you about Chad Green. He amazes me. He's a contender that I wouldn't have picked, but here he is.
Yeah.
He's in the thick of it. And
yeah.
I forgot that Mike Neff drove for John Force Racing. Did he replace Eric Medlin?
He actually replaced Ashley. When Ashley just got out of the car, Neff was already a crew chief with us, and then he got into Ashley's car driving that Castrol GTX funny car.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I forgot about Ashley, too.
Yeah. So we're actually I'm hopefully going to see her tomorrow in California. Um, we're coming up on the 20-year anniversary in 2028 of her first win in Atlanta.
Wow.
So I'm going to talk to her about what we can get in the works. Next year is going to be the year of Force for the NHRA. It's 50 years of John Force racing in 2027. And then in 2020, it'll be the 20th anniversary of Ashley's first funny car win, which was the first female funny car win in NHRA history.
Wow.
It's hard to believe that was 20 years ago.
I know, because I was at that race, John, and I was thinking about that, and I was like, God dang it. That seems like it seems like yesterday. But
Yeah.
it was 18 years ago.
I remember her winning Indy in a fuel dragster. I guess that was
Yeah.
I don't suppose
the loaner.
Yeah, I don't suppose his daughters are going to race anymore. Maybe they will in the future, but for now they're having kids. And
Brittany hasn't totally ruled it out. You know, she wants to get a family started. I would love to see Courtney come back. That's my dream, because she was such a good driver. And you know, obviously, you know, get married, you step away, you want to start a family. She's got a beautiful family, and she's doing great things with Graham Rahal. But she was, of all the daughters, she was the one that really, really grew up wanting to do it and was really, really good at it. And I think if she would have continued to race for a couple more years, I really feel like she would have been the first female funny car world champion we've had.
I agree. She had all the talent in the world.
Yeah.
Inherited it from her daddy.
Yeah. And it was great when she started racing. She had pictures of like Father's Day cards that she had made where she was racing her dad, and for her to actually be able to do that in real life, it was like basically, a dream come true for her.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked her Sports Illustrated photo spread too.
Yeah, the ESPN body issue. I actually helped put that together, so it was very funny how that came together, because they wanted to do it her rookie year, and she said she wanted to do a full year of racing before she did that kind of media.
Right.
And I told ESPN, I go, you can't have Courtney this year. I go, but what if you did a photo spread with John? Because the whole, ESPN body was like the body that you wanted.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what about if you did a photo spread with John about the body that you don't want? That's all busted up and broken, because this is a couple years after his 2007 accident. So we did a huge spread at the shop with his hands and his knees and his legs. And it was like the biggest spread. And it was one of their most popular parts of that, which was, the body that you don't want. And that's like a PR career highlight. And then the next year, Courtney agreed to do it, and we were able to get her on the national cover for ESPN, the magazine, which was really, really cool.
Yeah, that was amazing. And she quite fit, athletic, looking good.
Yeah. And I mean, for so long, people didn't think women could drive a funny car because they are so physically demanding. But, Ashley proved that you could. And now you've got Alexis DeJory out there. You've got Courtney doing it. I mean, there's any number of women that have, shown that, it's not easy by any stretch of the imagination, but you can be physically strong enough to do it.
Right. Absolutely. Well, let me shout out to Paula Murphy and Sheila Muldowney and
Yeah,
Della
for
Woods
sure.
and some of and of course I'm missing the next five, but
yeah,
so good. John, anybody else with another thought, or you, sir?
Well, we're caught up with the questions and comments, but I had one more question, and that is, where are you off to next, Elon?
I'm actually flying to California tomorrow. And we touched on this a little bit earlier, Bill, about last year we kind of created the 1,000 round win club. John won his 1,000th round win of racing in 2008. And then last year, Greg Anderson won his 1,000th round win at Bristol, almost a 1-year anniversary. So Werner Communications kind of created a club honorary of the two guys that are currently 1,000 round win winners. And we launched a collectible autograph piece that is available that we're actually going to get. It's a 5x7 card. Actually, I have one. I don't know if you can.
Yeah.
So basically they're available now at 1000roundwinclub.com, but Tomorrow, I'm flying to California to get John to sign his 1,000 cards. Flying back, we'll be in the office all day Wednesday, and then Thursday, I'm flying to Charlotte to get Greg to sign right beside John on his spot, because they're both right-handed. So here's like the inside scoop on the collectibles. John's picture's on the left, Greg's on the right. So you had to work left to right so the signatures don't get smudged. So, but yeah, so you're asking about the 1,000 round win club, Bill. Right now it's John and Greg. Ron Capps has 954 round wins. So most likely in 2027, he'll join the club. We do custom tuxedo jackets for the guys that are in the club and a nice certificate of membership. But this is our first licensed product. And I want to do a bunch of crazy stuff. But we take a picture at the top end with the Goodyear tires. But I wanted to create an opportunity for these guys to benefit from this, what I think is the most elite motorsports achievement across the board, because it's not just longevity, it's dominance, it's success, and it's excellence. Like, you get to 1,000 round wins, you've really accomplished something in your career. And only two guys in the 75-year history of the NHRA have done that. And that's really been my latest project, has been, promoting that and getting the word out on, this collectible is available. There's also only 1,000 of them. It's limited. It's numbered. They're not numbered individually, but they're numbered 1 of 1,000. And it comes with a certificate of authenticity. And the drivers have been great about it, because it is kind of recognizing their accomplishment.
You bet. That's amazing. Oh, congratulations and good luck with that. I know we're running out of time. I want to let you instruct the next group of folks out there. For racers, promoters, or content creators listening tonight, what's one thing they should understand about building fan engagement in today's digital world?
I really think be true to yourself. Like, if you want to ask crazy questions, ask crazy questions. You want to be a hardcore news interviewer, do that. But just consistency is key. And there's so many good tutorials out there now that, with your iPhone, you can do so many amazing things. But the key is consistency. So many people I want to do a podcast. Okay, that is a commitment. If you're going to do a podcast, like, look at what you've done for decades. Hey, we're going to be on Monday night, and I'm sure you've missed significant events. Birthdays, anniversaries, you had to adjust travel schedule, whatever it is. If you're going to do it, make the commitment to being out there consistently putting out good stuff. And it doesn't have to start out great. That's one thing. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just get started and try to get better. And drag racing in particular is very forgiving, very accommodating. I'm a guy that, if you reach out to me and say you want to interview one of my drivers, and a kid named Donovan Rose, young guy, he looks like he's about 14 years old. That's his biggest hang up, Bill. It's infuriating, is he looks like he's 14. So people sometimes don't think he's professional, but he's got a really good YouTube channel. And I'm like, Donovan, just keep getting better. The way to get better, do more interviews.
Right.
And when you do an interview, just pick the best stuff. Just because you talk to a guy for 30 minutes doesn't mean you have to show all 30 minutes.
Right.
And that's probably the biggest thing, is just, if you want to be a funny guy, be a funny guy. You want to be hard news, but be consistent. That's probably my biggest takeaway.
That's amazing. And thank you so much for joining us. I do want to give you one last chance to maybe do some shout outs if you want. And also, I want to get those URLs one more time.
Yeah. So for Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, I wouldn't be able to do it without Peak and Summit supporting it. They've been fantastic. Skag is a supporter of it. And you can sign up anytime at dragracebracketbonanza.com. And then, obviously, 1,000 Round Win Club, it's going to continue to grow, but it's just the number 1,000 roundwinclub.com to order that limited edition collectible right now. It's just $75. I think that's a pretty good to get John Force and Greg Anderson signed on the same piece. And then I just really want to thank all the drivers that I've worked with, the Motorplex, for just trusting us to tell their stories. That's probably the biggest thing. So, and I really appreciate you guys having me on. I would love to come back anytime. And Bill, I promise you, I will circle back and start getting you rung up with some of our drivers as well.
Sounds great. No, we look forward to having you back on because I had a couple of I think we could have talked all night as we
No,
talked
we
about
could have
before
gone all
the
night.
show.
We could have gone all night. I appreciate it, Bill. Thanks so much, John.
Great. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Elon Werner, Werner Communications and Drag Racing Bracket Bonanza and the 1,000-foot club, right? What is that
1,000
again?
round win club.
1,000 round win club. Not the top end of Indy, as we used to say. Anyway. All right, sir. Good night.
Thanks so
Elon
much.
Werner, folks. Adios, sir. We'll say farewell to Elon, and we will turn it over to John Bockelman for this week's JB's Take and the Racer of the Week. John?
Thanks, BP. My pick for Racer of the Week is Dustin Robertson from Hannibal, Missouri. Dustin's 55 Chevy wagon called Bad Medicine is an awesome gasser with a fascinating history behind it. I will deliver Dustin's story in first-person format as he sent it to me. Here goes. Here's what Dustin said. I don't remember the exact year I started racing, but it must have been close to 30 years ago now. The first track I ever raced at was Mid-America Raceway in Wentzville, Missouri. It's now closed. I really thought I was doing something by running 13s in a 72 Chevy short bed, but our first real build was a 62 Chevy 2 that Dad and I found in a field. It had bullet holes in it, and Dad thought it was so cool, so we left them. That car was a tin can and would run 1050s. The air would lift the deck lid up from the front going down the track. It didn't look like much, but it ran good, so we didn't care. Fast forward to 2016, where Dad and I decided to make an attempt at Drag Week in his 40 Willis Coupe. The car was a new build and had less than 10 miles on it. We made the 1,000-mile trip with very little trouble, except when the door came open on the trailer and the slicks almost fell out going down the road. We never would have known it if another racer hadn't stopped us, and I made Dad make every pass because he hadn't been on a drag strip since 1969. We entered again in 2017 and was able to complete the journey. One day my dad tells me about a 1955 Chevy two-door handyman wagon that was for sale about 30 minutes from the house. I said, "Are we going to look at it?" He said, "No, it's been sitting for something like 37 years and I'm sure it's junk." I couldn't believe he didn't want to go because he was really into panel trucks, sedan deliveries, and vans. I talked him into going. The wagon was in an old shed that was falling in, and Dad says, "See, I told you it's going to be a rust bucket." But when we got inside, he was wrong. The car had very little rust. The car had been flat-towed from California to that shed, where it was left for over 37 years, the owner said. We brought the trailer and was leaving without the wagon. Originally, we built a drag week car out of the wagon for 2018. My goal was to run 10s without a trailer. We went all the way to Atlanta Dragway, and on day one, we pulled the pinion out of the third member on the starting line. The car never moved. I believe the next weekend we went to Mid-State Dragway with Dad's Willis, and that is where we met the guys from the Nostalgia Gassers Racing Association. We were asked to join on the spot, and I'm glad we did. All the friends and good times that have been made wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for the Nostalgia Gassers Drag Racing Association. The greatest accomplishment with the wagon would have to be once again the friendships and memories that the wagon has helped create by racing from Wisconsin to Arkansas. The biggest race we have ever won was the 2023 Tri-5 Nationals in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Some details on the wagon. I just had a new 584 cubic inch big block Chevy built by Joe Creason Racing Engines in Troy, Missouri. It has a Rossler 400 turbo and a 9-inch Ford rear end. Cal tracks and mono leaf spring. Up front is a square tube frame that we built with a whack axle. Believe me when I say we tested whack products with all the giant wheelies and slamming the front end down. My goal this year is to be able to consistently run fives in the eighth, and not just when the weather is good. If I were to thank anyone, it would be everyone along the way who took the time to help or drop some knowledge about how to make an old gasser run down the track. Especially my dad, who without him I definitely would not be doing this. Well, Dustin, thank you for this excellent story. We wish you good luck, safe racing, and the best of times in the future. Everybody stay safe and well. You are the most important part of this show, and we love you all. It's a great way to spend an hour together on a Monday night. I hope y'all had a safe and peaceful Memorial Day weekend. And I forgot when that was. But we'll see y'all next time. God bless America. Back to you, BP.
Thank you, John. Yeah, it was a bit ago. My weekends are mixed up, man. I lost me a little bit of time going down to Charlotte and Budds Creek before that, and then Charlotte, and then I don't know what I was doing last week. I had a couple of outside networking events here in town, and I needed the weekend to catch up. But I'm not quite there, but I'm doing okay. But it was a pretty weekend though. But thanks. Another great racer of the week. Really enjoyed that one. Let's talk about events and more. I just want to say our YouTube interns are kicking butt. We just went over 160,000 views. Remember, we started with 17,000 March 1st. So the guys are, and formerly the gals, Sophia, the guys are rocking it. Jeffrey Cormier and Uriel Yashimiro, who we just popped up on our Facebook channel with his photo, and they're really tag teaming it. So Jeffrey's basically taking and creating all the shorts out of our long form stuff, including the weekly ones. So Jeffrey will actually do these for us now, which is amazing because formerly I was doing the current one, and then Sophia would go back and do the older one. So he's just rocking it. He's taking that over. And what Uriel is doing is going to every one of our social media sites and making sure that everything that we put out is repopulated out there. So he just put all of our shows on X. He put links to the original long form stuff for all the shorts that we're doing. So they're doing amazing work. My next scheme, folks, is to get Uriel and Kay working together for all of the amazing content Kay generates everywhere she goes, and have him start putting that up elsewhere. She does amazing things on Facebook and Instagram. And we'll see if we can get that shared around a little bit more. So thanks, guys. You're rocking it. Appreciate you. And of course, thanks to Kay, my friend, that had so much fun hanging out with Kay down in Charlotte. And then she immediately turned around and went to the Ratfink reunion, and she's starting to put up some content from there. So, oh my gosh, we're all over the place, guys. We're like a mini Werner Communications. We're working hard on it. Let's talk about some upcoming guests. And you can check out our Drag List Facebook page for the poster talking about all these guys. But coming up next Monday night, Steve King of Pilot Racing, Pro Mod Champ, and he also does the Boost and Bullshit podcast along with Pro Mod Racers. So looking forward to have Steve King on the show next Monday night. Coming up on the 29th, Jeff Atamian, the driver of the Beast Jet Car. And Kay just saw him doing a little work, got a little bit of video of him just a week or two ago. So looking forward to having one of the most, long-standing jet drivers of all time. Jeff's been driving that car out there on the West Coast for decades. July 6th, it's Jim Danko, the blown altered driver. Going to talk about doing it with the big old engine right in front of him. July 13th, David Kennedy of the National Hot Rod Association. Looking forward to having David on to talk about how the NHRA is doing this year and what their plans are for the near future. Now, don't miss that one because, when we get a chance to talk to the folks from the organizations, there's always lots of great news and a lot of good info. On July 20th, Eiley Stafford returns. She's been running a Nitro Funny Car on the Heritage Series. So looking forward to checking in with Eiley once again. And then we are off for a couple of weeks coming up as the big European vacation emerges for me and Miss Denise for our once in a lifetime trip. So we went down and got our global entry stuff at CBP in downtown DC today. So we're getting ready. Poor Jason's gonna have to hold down the home fort while we're out there meeting and greeting across the pond. But anyway, and we'll be back in mid-August. So I know Miss K is working hard on getting a lot of guests, and maybe we can hit old Mr. Elon Werner for a couple of those folks. Let's talk about lost friends, folks. Some big names here. I got this. This one's a little late, and I hate it. Stan Lucas is a legendary fuel altered racer and lifelong standard bearer for that class. He passed away on May 20th at the age of 90. I'm sorry we missed this a couple weeks ago, but Stan was fearless, great mechanic, unwavering devotion to the sport's most unpredictable machines. He kept everybody in the loop on what the fuel altereds are doing for many, many years, right to the end. He was a big proponent on social media, and was kind of the category's memory. So Stan Lucas, this scrounger, was probably the most popular car he drove back then. I know John's a big fuel altered fan, but farewell to Stan, one of the true legends in that category and in drag racing altogether. Another good old racer. On the 28th of May, we lost Jim Rea. Jim was a ramrod out of the DC area here. And our friend Bruce Wheeler of the Wheeler Dealer fame told us about this. Jim used to race a 40 Willis and just a kind of a great looking gasser and did his thing back in the day. Farewell to Jim. On the 8th of June, we lost Larry Stott, a super stock Chevy racer. Thanks so much to the online Facebook page for sharing that with us. And then finally, well, not finally, we have one more to mention, two more actually. 6/11, June 11th, Chris Roth passed away. Unfortunately, Chris had been suffering from a fall a year ago, and his recovery had run into some recent complications. He was a mid-Michigan motorplex racer, so farewell to Chris Roth. And now finally, and this is quite tragic, Shane Molinari passed away following an on-track accident on, I think, June 13th, 12th to 13th. He was only 59, a longtime pro mod racer and sportsman racer. He was known across the country for his passion for the sport, competitive spirit, and a larger than life personality. He won an NHRA Pro Mod victory in 2017 at Norwalk. It was a milestone moment in a great career. So sorry to hear this. Shane Molinari passed away on the 13th. And our condolences to the families and friends of all these great racers. Thanks for the thrills over the years, guys. Tough to say goodbye, but John, I don't think it's we're gonna get a break from this because it's the age we are, the age of the folks we follow, and just glad to know them while they were around. Your thoughts on the show?
Well, I tell you, man, it was just fantastic getting to meet Elon Werner. He is a fascinating person, and I enjoyed every minute of his interview. And I know that he's right in the middle of his career right now. He's going places that I never dreamed of. I think it's just fantastic. And I really appreciate Kay getting him lined up and getting him to come back. And I know he couldn't make it into the May show, but when he made it on this one, I was just blown away by his encyclopedic knowledge of drag racing. And someday I'd like to have a chance to just kick back and have a beer with him and talk for a few hours, you know.
Well, we'll do that. Maybe the Motorplex, but that's close to you, and he knows it. And I've never been actually. That's
Yeah.
that's set a pretty high bar for his first drag strip, I have to say. But no, he was fantastic. Thank you, John. I agree with everything you said. Let's do a wrap here. It's 9 o'clock on the East Coast here. We want to thank Elon Warner, who was really amazing. I really look forward to talking with him more and getting some guests on. And also, I mean, really, really want to check out this drag racing bracket bonanza. That is amazing. and his other products. So I'm sure if you find one, you'll find the others, but we will find the links and we'll drop them down here in the comments. I want to thank John Bachman, my brother. Elon gave John a huge compliment, which I of course agree with. Said, "Wow, what an amazing poster! The best poster that's ever been done for me." And of course I said, "Yeah, John, chucks out about 3 a week, man. He's on it." So wonderful work as always. Kate Turkelson, thank you, my dear. You're doing just amazing work out there, and just what a sweet person to know in person. I really had a really great time hanging out with Kay over the last couple of weeks, and I want to thank Sophia Roveda, who was our social media intern, not with us anymore, but out there taking on the world. Jeffrey Cormier and Uriel Yamashiro, who are with us right now. And thanks, guys. Pete Moriello, Rob McCabe, he's doing some hard work, man. There's new updates every day. And Rob is as bad as Danny was as far as a sportsman. We've got every top sportsman and every top dragster out there. And you know how many of those there are? Ridiculous numbers. I want to thank David Oakes, who put some really awesome photos up recently. Bill Kloss, welcome, brother, who also is giving us some great photos now. Melba Shore, Ron Toombs, John Mernon II, who is repurposing all the great photos that the outstanding photographers over the years have authorized us to use to illustrate the drag list. So thank you, John. Dave Weslowski, my friend, and Jeff Gilder, who got us started way back in the day. Of course, special shout out to the man himself, Danny White, up in heaven looking down on us. And let's remind you, if you would please, we're trying to grow this place back. I don't know if we'll ever get to 300,000 folks we have on Facebook, but I'd like to get close on the YouTube side. If you could like, share, subscribe, and drop a comment down below, we'd appreciate it. Check in on draglist.com every single day to see what's new. Just peek over there. And you can find us on the Radio Bob Network. By the way, Radio Bob making an announcement this week that he's going to angle his content more towards young folks and trying to instruct them in how to get involved with motorsports, which I think is really great. And of course, something that Kay Turkelson is heavily, heavily involved in the Salt Lake City area. So looking forward to talking more with Radio Bob about that. And then finally, let's say farewell for tonight and wish you a great week. And we'll see you next Monday night for Steve King of Pilot Racing. And the Pro Mod Champ's going to talk about his Boost and Bullshit podcast. And we'll get another guy on here that knows what he's doing when he gets a mic in front of him. So have an awesome week, folks. Until then, on behalf of John and Kay and the rest of the gang, my name is Bill, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.